Hey, welcome back to another episode of Hubert's Hot Rods and Fabrication. Today, we're going to be back to work on the deck lid. The first things that I need to do is start to work on separating the skin from the inner structure. Let's take a closer look at that, and I'm going to show you exactly what condition this deck lid's in at this moment. Here's a pretty decent angle of what we're looking at. Here's the bottom of the deck lid. This sits down closest towards the bumper. This is the top, hinges up. Okay, gives you an idea. You can see the lock mechanism and everything in here is just completely crusted. I'm going to go ahead and grind those heads of the bolts off and get rid of that whole inner structure. I'm going to end up doing an aftermarket lock system on this, latch system on this. So that is the plan for it. You can see here that this inner structure is completely rotted along the bottom here. It's crushed along the center. It was twisted. You can see there's a bow here and a bow here. There's kind of a split through this center as well. So all of this needs to get reconditioned, reshaped, reconditioned, rebuilt. There's spot welds. There's little, not really spot welds. They're like edge welds. So I'm going to have to go ahead and start cutting those apart all the way across the outer perimeter of this. So I can, like I said, separate the structure from the skin. All right, what my plan is to use a combination of a flat blade screwdriver and a seam buster to get in between these two seams and kind of work my way around here, determine where the spots are that are welded together, because this is so crusty and rusty I can't really tell. I need to try to be as careful as possible to not disturb or distress this in any way that it's any more than it already is. So I'm going to get to work on that, get set up and get to work on that next. Okay, you see me go around this in time lapse. It should be pretty free. I seen it all moving as I was going around. The whole thing is just kind of sitting together, clamped together, crushed together, whatever you want to call it. The welds that were on the outer perimeter you seen with the grinder, I just had to touch them with the cutoff wheel, I guess, with just little bits. They were just edge welded right on the seam, very lightly. My seam buster broke through most of those welds. So let's go ahead and try to get this separated. All right, it's probably the worst here at the top. It kind of rolls under at the bottom. So I'm going to kind of work my way around the top here, start working this out, and see what I can do here. I'd like to get this out of here without damaging either one of them. I just don't want to create more work for myself. I wanted to find another deck lid, but I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find one in my area for a reasonable price. So this is the decision I chose to make, is try to do what I can with this deck lid. Well, at least take it apart and see how bad it is, and then see if I can fix it. All right. These corners are really tight. They're folded over. There's been welds on this inner structure from previous repairs. So who knows if this thing even is. I know it don't fit very well. Here we go. Here we go. There's this corner. Okay. Just working my way around the outer perimeter here. Okay. Let's see what happens. Thought it'd just pop right out, but I guess not. Working this bottom. Bottom's really bad. And there might still be some welds, but I can't tell. Okay. Come back around here. Feels glued together down in this area. It's probably the sound deadener between the two. Or the lock that's running through. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off these bolt heads. That's what I'm going to do next. All right, I went ahead and drilled out the screws, ground out the heads, cut it all off. There was a shaft that went through there that was holding it in. I went ahead and cut that off on the surface. And then there was two supports that went down that were sandwiching these together to build that structure in between the lock mechanism and the deck lid. I went in there with an air body saw and cut the insides of that. So this should come off now. Finally. Yay! All right, we've got this off. Let's take a closer look and then come up with a plan. All right, taking a look here, we've got the deck structure. I just want to set it into place and kind of get an idea of what it looks like. This is what it's all been about. Good Lord. Okay, a lot of adjustment needs to happen. I'll show you here. This top lip is rolled in, tipped down. That's got to get fixed first. This has been broken and it's staggered, broken and re-welded. That's got to get fixed. There's a seam here that's got to get fixed, but I'm going to go ahead and get those taken care of, and I'm going to start working my top structure, top to the bottom. Okay. That's what I think is going to make the most sense. So I'm going to start working that off of camera. All right, after monkeying around, I got these spots all welded up. I know you can't see me, I'm hiding. And it's time to try to fit it. We're gonna start fitting, fix, fit, fix, fit, fix, fit, that type of thing. So I went ahead and I welded, this was bent in half, so I welded the crack that was through the center. I realigned the other side over here and re-welded that. That could use a little bit more work, and then this will get cleaned up. But this is good enough for me to start putting back into here. And like I said, I straightened out this upper area so it'll fit in here a little bit better. Okay, and it still needs a lot, it needs some work still, but we're getting there. All right, let's try and tuck these bottoms in. Okay, I'm gonna get the hinges installed and then just see what it looks like once the hinges are in there. There should be some adjustment and everything, so let's do that. Take a look at those. Okay, did a little bit of back and forth there. I got it. I wish I could say that all of that work, I got it fitting better, but as you can see, it's really not. I started tipping this upper edge. I put more of a radius in here. It's hitting on this upper edge on the inside where it's rolled in on that channel. It's still hitting, so I'm gonna pull out my shrinker and stretcher, and I'm going to try and stretch that edge. I'm going to do a lot more work on that, but I'm going to be honest, this is just going to take so much work that I think it's going to be boring to watch. I think that it's going to take so much work, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. It's going to take a series of off and on, and it's going to be boring. I switched the hinges just to check the hinges. Just because I labeled them and they came off that way doesn't mean that somebody put them on that way. This thing was all seized when I got it, and you can tell that somebody was wrenching this deck lid up. There's stress cracks through the support structures, so I've got to get that back into place. This deck lid fits into the opening without the hinges really well. The outer perimeter, everything looks pretty good. This bottom is obvious that I can't tell what's going on down there. There's not much left of that, but I knew that I was going to have to remake all this, and I'm going to have to make this center section for the lock and latch mechanism to fit in also. So I'm going to get a lot of this stuff figured out off of camera, and when I say off camera, I really mean it this time, not time lapse. But I wanted to thank you guys for watching this far. Keep watching these videos, and we'll see the progress on this deck lid. Like, subscribe, and I would really appreciate it if you comment. Tell me how you think I'm doing. Tell me if you think it sucks, the music sucks, whatever. You guys usually aren't shy about that. But thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one.